Introduction: World War II was the deadliest and most destructive conflict in human history. It was a war that involved more than 30 countries, spanned multiple continents, and reshaped the world forever. From the ruins of Europe to the islands of the Pacific, World War II changed the course of nations, ideologies, and human lives on an unimaginable scale. More than 70 million people lost their lives, including civilians, soldiers, and entire communities caught in the crossfire of total war. This war did not begin suddenly. It was born from the unresolved tensions of World War I, economic collapse, political extremism, and the rise of powerful dictators. In this full-length narration, we will explore how World War II began, who fought in it, the major battles on land, sea, and air, the suffering of civilians, the Holocaust, the role of technology, the entry of the United States, and how the war finally ended, leaving behind a new world order that still shapes our lives today. Causes of World War II. The roots of World War II can be traced directly to the aftermath of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles placed heavy blame and punishment on Germany. The country lost territory, was forced to pay massive reparations, and was restricted militarily. These harsh conditions created anger, humiliation, and economic instability within Germany. The global Great Depression of the 1930s made the situation even worse. Millions were unemployed, banks collapsed, and people lost faith in democratic governments. In this atmosphere of fear and desperation, extremist leaders gained popularity by promising strength, unity, and national revival. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power. Hitler promoted aggressive nationalism, racial ideology, and the idea of territorial expansion, known as Lebensraum. In Italy, Benito Mussolini established a fascist dictatorship and dreamed of rebuilding a Roman-style empire. In Japan, military leaders took control of the government and sought to expand their empire across Asia and the Pacific. Another major cause of the war was the failure of the League of Nations. This international organization was created to maintain peace after World War I, but it lacked power and unity. When Japan invaded Manchuria, Italy attacked Ethiopia, and Germany began rearming, the League failed to stop them. The policy of appeasement also played a critical role. Britain and France, desperate to avoid another war, allowed Hitler to violate the Treaty of Versailles. Germany remilitarized the Rhineland, annexed Austria, and took over parts of Czechoslovakia without facing serious resistance. The final trigger came on September 1, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had begun. The early years of war. Germany's military strategy, known as Blitzkrieg or lightning war, relied on speed, surprise, and coordination between tanks, aircraft, and infantry. This strategy allowed Germany to quickly defeat Poland and then turn westward. In 1940, German forces invaded Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France. France fell in just 6 weeks, shocking the world. British forces narrowly escaped capture during the evacuation at Dunkirk. After the fall of France, Germany turned its attention to Britain. The Battle of Britain was fought mainly in the air, as German bombers and fighters attempted to destroy the Royal Air Force. Despite heavy bombing of British cities, including London, Britain refused to surrender. It was Germany's first major defeat of the war. The war expands globally. In June 1941, Hitler broke his non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union and launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history. millions of German troops pushed deep into Soviet territory. Initially, the invasion was successful, but the vast size of the Soviet Union, harsh winter conditions, and fierce resistance slowed the German advance. Meanwhile, in Asia, Japan continued its expansion across China and Southeast Asia. Japan aimed to control resources and dominate the Pacific. Tensions between Japan and the United States increased, especially after the U.S. imposed economic sanctions. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the American naval base at Pearl Harbor. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan. Shortly afterward, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States. The conflict had now become a truly global war. The Holocaust and civilian suffering, one of the darkest chapters of World War II, was the Holocaust. Under Nazi rule, millions of Jews were systematically persecuted and murdered. Along with Jews, other groups including Roma, disabled individuals, political opponents, and prisoners of war were also targeted. Concentration camps and extermination camps were established across occupied Europe. Victims were transported in overcrowded trains and killed in gas chambers or through forced labor, starvation, and disease. By the end of the war, approximately 6 million Jews had been murdered. Civilians suffered immensely during the war. Cities were bombed, food was rationed, and entire populations were displaced. In Eastern Europe and Asia, massacres and forced migrations destroyed countless lives. Turning points of the war. Several major battles marked turning points in World War II. On the Eastern Front, the Battle of Stalingrad became one of the bloodiest battles in history. After months of brutal fighting, German forces were surrounded and forced to surrender. This marked the beginning of Germany's retreat from the Soviet Union. In North Africa, Allied forces defeated German and Italian troops, securing control of the Mediterranean region. In 1944, the Allies launched the D-Day invasion of Normandy, France. Thousands of troops landed on heavily defended beaches, beginning the liberation of Western Europe. In the Pacific, the United States adopted a strategy known as island hopping. Key battles such as Midway and Guadalcanal weakened Japanese naval power and shifted the balance in favor of the Allies. Total war and technology. World War II was a total war involving entire societies. Factories produced tanks, aircraft, and weapons around the clock. Women entered the workforce in massive numbers, replacing men who had gone to fight. Technology played a crucial role in the war. Radar helped defend Britain. Code-breaking efforts like the Enigma project provided vital intelligence, and long-range bombers carried out devastating air raids. The most powerful and controversial weapon developed during the war was the atomic bomb. The end of the war in Europe. By 1945, Allied forces were closing in on Germany from both east and west. Soviet troops advanced toward Berlin, while American, British, and other Allied forces pushed through Western Europe. In April 1945, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker in Berlin. Germany surrendered shortly afterward. On May 7, 1945, the war in Europe officially ended. The war in the Pacific and atomic bombs. Despite Germany's defeat, the war continued in the Pacific. Fighting between the United States and Japan remained intense, with heavy casualties on both sides. In August 1945, the United States dropped atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The explosions caused massive destruction and loss of life. Faced with total devastation, Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945. Consequences of World War II. World War II left the world deeply changed. Europe was in ruins, and millions were homeless. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers, leading to a new period of tension known as the Cold War. The United Nations was created to prevent future global conflicts. War crimes trials were held, and new international laws were established to protect human rights. World War II reshaped borders, ended old empires, and changed the balance of power. It remains a powerful reminder of the dangers of hatred, unchecked ambition, and global conflict. End of script.